Hello, my loves. It's Danielle Mercurio, and I'm here with another personal share. So I just got off, not in the way I would hope I got off. I just got off a cruise with my family, and it was not pleasant. I did not enjoy it. I will never, ever, ever, ever do it again. And so I want to share with you my takeaways, what happened, and how I survived.
Danielle Mercurio, it's time for the show with Danielle. Welcome to the show. Danielle Mercurio, welcome to the show. Welcome to the show.
Okay, so clearly the opportunity in all of this is me going through something difficult, having time to process it, and then being able to present it to you. And disclaimer, this isn't me just like bashing on a cruise. Some people, cruises are the best thing ever. There were so many people in this experience that I was witnessing having the best time ever. When it was time to depart, people saying, I wish I never had to leave, right? I am not minimizing or knocking anybody else's experience if it brought them joy and fun and relaxation and all the things. This is about me being caught up in something that I should have said no to, and how things unfolded from there. So again, this isn't coming from a place of me knocking being on a cruise. If you love a cruise, like amazing, go on a cruise. For me, it was anti what I wanted to do, anti how I wanted to show up, anti how I wanted to spend my time. And so that's really what the focus is. It's not so much about minimizing an experience or saying something's better than or not. It's more so just like, hey, this is what happened. Okay, so let's backtrack, shall we? I'm not going to use a fun sound graphic, but like doodly doodly doo, boop, pop. Okay, we're in the past, almost a year ago, and I'm home at my parents' house for Christmas, and a text from my aunt comes through saying, hey, it's your uncle's 60th birthday, and we're going to celebrate by going on a cruise, and it's going to leave out of New Orleans, and it's, in November of 2023, and everyone in the text message was like, yeah, let's go, and like a lot of my cousins were saying yes, and everyone was just really on board for this experience. And so in my mind, I was like, yeah, I'm on board for this experience. Like, and at that time in my life, I feel like last December, I was in kind of like a funky place. I was like feeling very single and all the feels and just not really loving the direction of my life. And so I was like, yeah, something to look forward to, a cruise. Meanwhile, it was Carnival. Again, not knocking Carnival. It's just a specific clientele. We'll leave it at that. So I said yes. I booked a reservation. I moved about my life, right? And it was always kind of lingering in the background, like, oh, the cruise. And there's, I think I was focusing more on my excitement to go to New Orleans. Like, I love New Orleans, not like Bourbon Street, New Orleans. Because again, if you like Bourbon Street, New Orleans, you do you. I like being over like in the Garden District where like the celebrities live, and I can get a smoothie and look at high-end vintage clothes. And why I share this is because, again, it's me witnessing and being unapologetic about my standards. Like, even if we look at New Orleans, there are some people that go for the French Quarter and Bourbon Street and to get blackout drunk. And then there are some people that go for the more high-end experience. Neither is wrong. It is just simply what you are choosing, right? We all get to choose paths in these lives, and our lives are set up by certain standards, certain experiences, certain lifestyles. And so when we're picking that path, we're just picking a path that makes the most sense to who we are. So when I landed in New Orleans, I picked a path that made the most sense for me. Where can I go get oysters? Where can I go be in a trendy hotel? Where can I go get a smoothie from a friend that owns the actual juice shop, right? Like, that's just from experience of being Danielle, that's what I like. That's what I gravitate towards. That's what comes easy for me. So if all of a sudden I land in New Orleans and didn't choose that path and decided instead, you know what, I'm going to go out at 10 p.m. and I'm going to go on Bourbon Street, or I'm going to go eat at this tourist trap restaurant, those things would backfire because those are not things that I would naturally choose. Those are not things that are naturally in alignment to my energy. And so going on the ship, it was not the right path because I didn't really think it through and I didn't really understand or recognize that it wasn't in alignment with my standards. Okay, we all have standards. We all are given options. If you landed in New Orleans, maybe you wouldn't even, one of your options would be like, Danielle, I'm not even landing in New Orleans. I'm not even getting on a plane. That's not my standard of living. I'm the type of person that has to drive everywhere. Or I'm the type of person that prefers to go by train. Or I'm the type of person that doesn't want to go into a big city and prefers to find a cute little farm town to spend the weekend in, right? We all get choices in our path, and we just have to recognize that the choice that we make just happens to mirror the lifestyle that we live. And the lifestyle that we live is an extension of who we are and what we need. And I also have to be radically honest about the fact that I am a mystic, that I am an energy healer, that I am an intuitive, that I hold space for my clients, I hold space for the collective, I hold space on social media, I hold space for myself, I hold space for my friends. You know, there are so many arenas that I hold space for, and I'm grateful to be able to do that, and there's nothing else I'd rather do. However, to maintain that and not burn out, I have to choose wisely. I have to be in frequencies that meet the frequency that I exist in. And that is okay. So essentially when I got on this, well, it was, you know, before leading up to it, some people were kind of like, oh, I'm surprised that you're going to do this. And I'm like, yeah, it's a cruise. It'll be fun. We're going to Mexico. I'm leaving out of New Orleans. People are like, what about the food? Or like, what about this? I'm like, it's fine. And then literally it's like the day before I'm supposed to be leaving, and I'm like packing up, you know, I got a sitter for my dog Zara and just kind of getting everything in order. And all of a sudden the anxiety starts to set in. And I'm like, oh shit, what am I doing? What am I heading into? What did I sign up for? And then I started doing research around the ship and the activities on the ship and what people like to do on the ship and the excursions. And I'm like, oh, this doesn't feel like it's in alignment for me. This doesn't feel like what I need. And then there was a part of me that was like, well, you'll just make the best of it. Like, you'll just go find a little spot on the deck and lay out in the sun, or, you know, you'll be able to just have quiet time in your room, or you'll be able to, you know, again, make the most of it. You'll spend some time with family. You get to room with your sister. We decided to room together, which wound up being great. You know, it'll be fine. I am telling you, whenever you have anxiety about something and you're convincing yourself that it will be fine, it will not be fine. It is usually not a good idea. We are in a day and age now where life is fragile. The energy is tender. Okay, we are literally living in a world where it's like at any moment we can just start crying, right? Like, we are in a sensitive spot. And so if anything feels like, oh no, I got to figure out a plan of how I'm going to cope, then that's probably not a plan that you should be a part of. And in hindsight, I probably should have just went to New Orleans, saw the fam, done my little New Orleans thing, said bon voyage, and then head back up to my home. But, you know, hindsight's 2020, or hindsight's 2023 at this point. And one thing with that, right? Like, well, let me share more about the experience before I get into regret. So I'm leaning in and I'm like, ooh, this doesn't feel like it's right. But I just felt too far in to cancel. And there was a part of me that just was like, I don't know, that didn't sit right with me, because I just didn't want to deal with all of that. I didn't want to deal with the idea of losing money. I didn't want to deal with the idea of people, you know, kind of guilt tripping me. I didn't really want to deal with being vulnerable. I just didn't feel like doing any of that. So I was like, I'm going to do this. And again, I was in that space of like, I'm going to cope. I'm going to be fine. So get to New Orleans, and New Orleans was smooth, great. And then, you know, we start to get closer to the boat. I'm starting to get a little bit more nervous. What am I doing? Why am I here? Blah, blah, blah. Get on the ship, realize there's 3,000 people on the ship. I try room seems okay. There's like I didn't get a balcony because that kind of freaked me out, to be honest. So we got like a window, but it was like a window seat. So it was like a window, you sat in the window seat and looked out at the water, which I actually really like. So I'm like, I got this. And then, I don't know, probably like 30 minutes went by and then I was like, I don't got this. I was starting to feel the energy of everyone on the boat. I was feeling the rocking of the boat. I was witnessing what my life was going to look like for the next 6 days. And I felt very trapped. I felt very closed in. I felt very much like I wasn't going to be able to do this. And I knew I didn't want to lean on drinking. I knew I knew I had to be present if I was going to get out of this. But I was wildly uncomfortable and really out of my comfort zone and scared, to be honest. And I almost felt like, because I had told a couple people before I left, and they're just like, oh, you'll be fine. And, I think some people thought I was maybe being dramatic. And it's like, no, I wasn't. This didn't feel good to me. This was hurting my energy field. I was picking up on the energy of everybody and everyone on the ship. And again, this is not to knock anyone. This is me sharing an observation. They were in contrast to how I live my life. They are not the type of people, and the majority, and I can verify this, the majority are not the type of people that quote unquote need Danielle. If there was a sound bath on board, no one was going to be there. The cleanest part of the place was the gym. I would go to the sauna and the steam room. No one else would be in it. And again, not in judgment, just to showcase, to set up the scene for you. I was somewhere where I was not needed. I was somewhere that I am actually not meant to exist. And that can be a really jarring feeling when you're trying to survive in an arena, in a platform where you don't feel like you belong. So just being like, oh, I'll just find a little nook. It's not enough. Oh, I'll just hide in my room. It's not enough, because you're feeling the intensity of the separation. You're witnessing where you don't belong. And that can feel sad in ways. That can feel for me, it felt a little unsettling. It showed me like, shit, like our country is more divided than I even realized. Like everyone on this, again, I don't want to generalize, but for the most part, like for example, one of the days we went on an excursion, we were on the ferry and there were these people in front of me and somehow I heard the word shaman. So I like perked up. I was like, oh, did I just hear shaman? And then they were talking about witch doctors and they were literally trashing anyone that had any type of an intuitive role, any type of facilitator or healer. They were just bashing. So I think that just like confirmed for me, and clearly I didn't say a freaking word as I sat behind them. It just confirmed for me that it's safe to just be me and that I am different, and that is more than okay. And I need to protect the ways that I'm different at all costs. And I have to be more mindful before I say yes. I can't just say, oh, I'll make it work, or, oh, I love my family, let me cater to them. Oh, I'm single, I'm self-employed, I can do this. No, I couldn't. Because I'm single and because I'm self-employed, I shouldn't have done it. Because just because I quote unquote had the money in my bank account to pay for it, I couldn't afford it. I couldn't afford to hurt my energy field that badly. I couldn't afford to be in an environment where, I felt on edge and uneasy. I couldn't be in an environment where I didn't have access to certain things that I eat and drink every day. And, there was a part of me that was like, shit, am I just so freaking privileged and spoiled? But no. I live my life in the way that I live my life. I believe that I'm meant to be here on this earth. I believe that I'm unique. I believe that I am special. I believe that I'm here to show up in certain ways so that I can help other people. The people that I'm connected to, the people that are in my energy lines, the people that are in my field. And to do that, I live and walk and breathe and show up in certain ways. And this platform that I was on was not set up for that. I actually texted my friend something, which I'm going to read you because I feel like that feels aligned. Let me just pull it up. It's my friend Garrett. He's been on the show before. I said, okay, so this is what I said. I'm just going to read you our text. I said it felt like I was stuck on sea, like in a Walmart in Atlantic City. And again, no judgment. Here for that. I just don't go to Walmart. I actually don't even really like big box stores. So I order off of Amazon. which, I do. But otherwise, I buy secondhand, vintage. I buy from real humans. Like, I do everything in my power not to go on big box things. Okay, so I just said I never felt more different in my life, and zero judgment, but I just did not feel like I could relate to 80% of the people on board. And I said, whether I like it or not, it made me see that we are more separate in this world than I like to believe. And I think the stark contrast and realization gave me more confidence to just be me, because no one on that freaking ship needed me to flaunt my cosmic powers or save them. And it's like, and so I had the realization, stop trying so hard to be everything for everyone, especially when they didn't ask you to. Okay, I'm going to say that again. I recognize that I need to stop trying so hard to be everything to everyone, especially when they didn't ask me to. That it's safe for me to be in my own unique, creative, spiritual nest and trust the birdies that are in my flock. And that's the deepest realization I had coming out of this. I think I was in that experience to be a little bit stressed out, to recognize fully, stop worrying so much about trying to be everything for everyone. Of trying to make sure that everybody feels seen and heard, of trying to make sure that, I'm using my voice in a way so that everyone will understand. Not everyone's going to understand me right now. We are in a time where things are alchemizing, things are shifting, things are changing. And there's a lot of chaos, there's a lot of war, there's a lot of hiding, there's a lot of ignorance. And you can't meet all of those areas. I can't meet everything I just listed. But what I can meet is someone that is waking up to their own soul. What I can meet is someone that is looking to take better care of themselves. What I can meet is someone that wants to understand how to not always burn themselves out. What I can show up for is someone that's curious about different modalities of spirituality and what is going on higher planes. Where I can show up is where you need a good laugh and a hug. And where I fully can show up is wherever you ask me to. I'm here for the people that are ready to meet me where we're at. And it's as simple as that. And when I look at it from that framework, everyone else that's not meant to be dissolves. Anyone else that's not meant to be a client or on a retreat with me goes away. And it creates less strain and more freedom. It opens up space and possibility. It really gives me the permission to be me without, I think I had lingering guilt, a lingering feeling of being spoiled, privileged, entitled. And this just totally removed all of that. It just made me recognize how much I do love my life and I'm deserving of my life. And I know even clearer what my sustainable frequency is. And I recognize now so many moments where that frequency has dropped, or things have fallen apart, or I've given what I've gained away. It's because I was still trying to appease everybody. But if I sat there and had a temper tantrum on that ship, a couple of people would stop by, but most wouldn't even notice because they don't see me. So why am I feeling like I have to give so much of myself to people that will never see me? It's exhausting, it's irrelevant, it's unnecessary. And so that was one of my big takeaways from this. There were a lot, but leaning into that, leaning into, sharing with my family about how I was feeling. I mean, there was a morning where, my mom and I don't have a lovey-dovey relationship per se. And there was a morning where I just knocked on her door and I just wept in her lap. And I just let her hold me and nurture and let me just cry into her bosom. That was very cathartic. We don't do that. I don't know the last time I ever did that with my mother. So it definitely, allowed me to be supported and seen. I remember she was saying when I was crying, she was like, you don't have to be so brave all the time. You don't always have to support yourself fully. Let yourself be supported. You don't have to do it all on your own all the time. And I really received that. Now that I'm kind of coming out of the cobwebs and the fog of it all, I do feel more free. I do feel more clear. I feel less clouded by the judgment of what I think people are thinking of me that aren't looking. I don't have imposter syndrome around the people in my community or the peers or, oh, look at that teacher, look at that person. Good for all of you. I have like this weird imposter syndrome around people that don't even know I exist. Like making sure that I'm serving all the communities because I want to make sure that they feel taken care of too when they didn't ask for it. Realizations. And so kind of moving into the space of regret. Do I regret it? No. Was there moments where I was replaying it in my head and wishing things were different and wishing I had chosen another path? Absolutely. But I think our regrets can then be morphed into gratitude. There's nothing really, especially once you let a little bit of time and space and energy cool off to happen. I really feel like regrets are kind of silly to have because regrets are building blocks. Regrets are opportunity. Regrets are lessons. Regrets are seeing how it could be different or better or knowing what you want. So there's not much, and anything, if you do regret not doing something, do it now. Do it now or find a way to find something close. I know it's not always that literal, but I do think the moments of regret can then be turned into moments of gratitude. And I'm slowly moving into that space of gratitude for this past experience and very assured of how I am moving my energy, my body, my time, my schedule, my travel, my dog, my well-being going forward. And I want you to trust that. I want you to trust that part of manifesting, part of creating a life that you love, part of being in the essence of who you know that you are is trusting yourself and trusting that once again, you might sometimes feel like the black sheep. You may feel like you're different, but you cherish that and you protect it at all costs. You recognize that holding a sustainable frequency is saying no to things that just aren't in alignment, right? You land in New Orleans. Are you going to the French Quarter or are you going to the Garden District? Which one are you choosing, right? Like, are you, you're in a strip mall? Are you going to, what place are you going to? Are you going to the yoga studio or are you going to, the ice cream place? And maybe you're going to both, right? Like, but I think what I'm trying to articulate is there's no right or wrong. It's just being clear on what makes the most sense for you. And the more that you can be clear on what makes the most sense for you, there are going to be moments you're going to have to say no. And other people might not think that makes sense. But you have to trust that it makes sense for me. Saying no makes sense for me. So you got to keep leaning into that. Keep leaning into the trust. Keep leaning into your choices. Keep leaning into your standards. And that's going to help you manifest the life that you want, right? So often we say like, I want the life where, money isn't an issue and I wake up and I see the water and I, do this and I do that and whatever it is, that's yours, right? Sometimes we look at our manifestations and the things that we want as a fantasy or as a movie. And so we're chasing the fantasy, we're chasing the movie. We're constantly looking at the coming attractions as opposed to, looking at it as, no, this is who I know that I am. I know that I exist in this world in these ways, in these standards, in these elements of being. And I want to look at any reasons why there's resistance around that. Sometimes we need to be focusing less on what we want, because I think we know what we want. I think we just want to live in alignment with our standards and continue to operate at that frequency and continue to build and magnetize that frequency and elevate it forward. So it's less about, quote unquote, how do I manifest? Because you can sit and write in a journal all day long. You can write checks to the universe as much as you want. However, if you're not looking at the resistance around it, if you're not looking at where you self-sabotage, if you're not looking at where you mistrust it, then it's never going to really fully land. So let me ask you, I want you to picture your greatest reality, one that you know you could operate in, one that you know you could rock, one that you know full out you could live in, because you know all this because it is you. You already exist in that reality. But where are there feelings of mistrust around that reality? Where are you self-sabotaging and pulling yourself away from that reality? Where are you not claiming that reality? And why? I want us claiming the reality we know to be true, that exists in a frequency that makes the most sense for us. and stop trying to entertain and appease all these other frequencies and pathways and cater and be a chameleon to everybody else, because it doesn't serve you in the end, and it doesn't serve why you're here. You're here with an enormous opportunity. You're here out of billions of souls that wanted to be here. You being here is a gift. And the more that you trust that, the more that becomes your trust fund, right? Your faith is your trust fund. Your faith is your trust fund. You want to get an inheritance from the universe? Tap into your faith. Boom, trust fund activated. But it can be awkward and painful and weird and strange to be in full alignment, because we've spent so much of our life being told that our alignment was wrong, being told that we have to cater to everybody else, being told that we have to do it this way, being told that this is our timeline, being told that this is the only way. When in reality, when you're waking up, when you're growing, when you're showing up, what's in alignment for you is going to be the most valuable thing in the world. And you can't keep turning your back on it. You can't keep settling and trying to make smaller planes work. You can't just say like what I was doing the ship, oh, I'll cope, I'll be fine. I'll just find a little pocket where I can just lay down. No, because even the area I went to, the Serenity pool, okay? Yeah, it was adults only, but like those adults were like partying in the hot tub, and like one point I looked up and they were all like mooning each other. And I was like, no, this isn't me coping. This isn't me quote unquote making it work. This is like extreme contrast and misalignment. So where in your life are you not choosing your alignment? You are mistrusting who you are, and you're trying to make smaller spaces work while you wait for the bigger ones. That's not how it works, okay? You keep leaning into the most aligned spaces. And you take where you currently are day by day. If you are in a quote-unquote smaller space, you take it day by day. But you don't try to cope or settle or make it work. You move through it every day. You're moving through it as you move towards deeper alignment. You continue to choose the path that makes more sense to you. Maybe the population chooses point A, you choose point B. Beautiful. That's your soul. That's your trust. That's your inner alignment speaking. Once again, if you're listening to this, it's likely that you have a really beautiful uniqueness about you. Maybe you feel like you're a little bit different. But I want you to cherish those things, and I want you to protect those things at all costs, because that is you, that is your essence, that is your truth. And I want you to keep showing up in a way that allows you to be in the frequencies and the places and the alignment and around the people that get you, that make you feel safe, that make you feel taken care of, that support your well-being. Because I'm telling you, these times that we're moving into, they're only going to get rockier. And I'm not saying that to scare you. I'm saying it to motivate you to be in deeper alignment with the trust of who you are. Because if you can do that, I promise you these times will be vastly more unshakable for you. If you want to survive the times, you can't keep being in survival mode and playing small and settling. You will survive these times by allowing yourself to move deeper into alignment of what you need. And from that space of having what you need, you're able to show up, and you're able to give, and you're able to support and be supported in turn. I promise it can be easier, but you have to start choosing that pathway. And remember, any past regrets, moments for gratitude. Anything that feels out of alignment, or like you have to cope, or like it's not really what you want, it's okay to say no. And if you are in some spaces that maybe you settled or you said yes to, that you realize, oh, this makes me uncomfortable, this isn't where I'm meant to be, you take it day by day, and you continue to create a plan to move into higher frequencies, to give yourself bite-sized morsels of what you want, to trust the process of who you are and who you're becoming and what you know to be true, and you claim it. You claim the life you know you were meant to operate on now, and let it get closer and closer and closer. Thank you for letting me share. I love you. I appreciate you. Let's keep rocking this journey together. If you don't already, follow me on Instagram, Danielle Mercurio. Check out my membership, The Cosmic Channel. It's over on my website. And just thanks for being you. Truly.